Hello and welcome to the DecentraWise Podcast. My name is Pedro.
And I'm Miguel, and you just joined us in our mission to decentralize the world wisely.
Wisely, it's very important. And in this topic of today, which is a suggestion of, let me check the name. I am terrible with names, so not even a small name like this I can
Looks like
remember.
Shalop 7.
Shalop. Shalop, man. Great idea for the topic of today. And we are talking about decentralization exactly today, which is a very cool buzzword. Everybody talks about decentralized applications, decentralized this, decentralized that. And most often, it's just that.
Yeah, we can even start about talking what the hell is decentralization.
Yeah, it's we already discussed that in the previous episode, but the TLDR is it's a special way of building systems that don't rely on a single point of failure or on a single point of anything, right? That is the whole idea. If you look at outside the window, there is a system, a decentralized system out there. Okay? It's not that uncommon. Just open your eyes, look outside, and you see a decentralized system with lots of moving parts. And sometimes then they conflict with each other, but sometimes they don't really care about each other and they just live happily ever after. And that's it. So
Happily ever after is good.
yeah, that's the idea of a decentralized system. The core of it is to build something that lasts forever and without you getting involved or anyone.
Yeah, so
Or many. You never know, right? It's up to the system to decide, or to the participants.
Let's try to specify it a little bit on the Web3 context. So just as a basis, a decentralized system is a mix of nodes where you can get your service from any of the nodes that you connect to. Each of the nodes will have exactly the same information and will deliver you exactly the same thing as any other node. So the big advantage of this kind of solution is that even if one node is down, you can connect to a bunch of other nodes. So consider this a network. If you consider that a network, you can connect to any of the nodes of the network that will supply you the service that you intend to. So you want to follow that?
Yeah, that is
because there are other great advantages about being decentralized.
Actually,
you forgot to tell people to grab the coffee, man. Whoa.
Of course. Come on, let's rewind this thing.
Yes,
we are going back.
It was my bad because I put the talking.
Grab your coffee
after
sit
before
back
the intro
and relax, because this is getting nerdy. Now we can start.
Yeah.
So, following the idea, you talked about not exclusively a decentralized system. It can be a distributed system, right?
Yes.
So there are several tiers. You can have a centralized system, which is a a system where you connect to a URL, and that URL serves you the content from one or many servers, doesn't matter. But for you, it's the same thing, right? You connect to that site or that system, and that system sends you back something that you need, right? When you think about searching the internet, you think of Google, right, or Bing, or whatever your favorite search engine is, and you go there, and for you it's the same thing. You don't even care or think about how many servers that are serving your content. For you, you don't care. You guys connecting to that system, and that system will send you the information. And if it's just a server or a bunch of them, it doesn't matter for you. And
Yeah, but
actually, on the
that
client side,
requires
it
a
should
sort
be
of a
always like
gateway,
that,
right?
right?
Yeah, but that requires a sort of a gateway, because you are connecting to a gateway, and then it's trying to get the information from. It can be even a farm. Usually on Google
Yeah.
are farms of computers, right? So
Usually you connect to a door that usually is a load balancer or of some kind, and then it balances you to a bunch of servers inside that centralized entity.
yeah,
Right?
but even though that internally Google is decentralized,
It's not
in most,
decentralized. It's distributed internally.
right, it's a distributed system. It will still fall in a centralized system.
Yes, because it's a single point where you connect to, right?
Yeah.
And although they might have resilient systems, if a system goes down, a bunch of them keep the system up, and blah blah blah. There is a single point of connection, which is that google.com address where you connect to, and if there is something bad with the DNS, there's no service, right? There is a single point there of failure. That's why one of the really not resilient parts of the internet is exactly the domain system, right?
Yeah.
And God knows why, one of the first ideas after Bitcoin was launched was exactly to substitute that. So one of the, if not the first, I'm not sure if it was the first fork of Bitcoin, but it's not. If it's not the first, it was like the second or something like that. It was called Namecoin, right? So, but actually, I think it was the first fork of Bitcoin. Anyway, in the centralized entity, that single point of connection is the point of centralization, but also the governance is a point of centralization, right? There is an entity that governs the entire thing, and if that entity goes bust, which would be a mess for us, actually, if Google goes bust, that I don't know how life would continue after that event. But yeah, actually, we couldn't search a thing on internet, or we would have to use
Well, we
alternative
can
systems.
because we have other search engines.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, well,
There are others. There was Alta Vista first, and there was Yahoo.
yeah, in Yahoo
and Sapo in Portugal. But that doesn't make them even close to Google, right? They are just like I don't know.
Yeah, well, they're alternate systems, but I don't know how good they are because I don't usually use or either Bing or the DuckDuckGo
That
or
explains
something like
everything.
that. Yeah, but because uh, I'm used to get the results in a certain way, and I'm not really sure how good the other systems are, honestly.
Yeah, but if you would have to, you would be. It would be probably a solution. I don't know. I don't use them either
Yeah,
because so
yeah.
I don't know.
So back to this, trying to figure out what a decentralized system is. We were talking about. So we have a centralized system, which is something like Google, your Gmail, Hotmail, stuff like that. That just gives you a service, and they are fully centralized. We have decentralized systems, but we were also talking about distributed systems, which is like a subset of decentralized system. Do you want to break down these differences?
Yeah, let's go there. So when you have a centralized system, you have a single point of connection from the outside world, and then you have many other uh, assets that can provide you the information you need. When you have a distributed system, you can have multiple connection points from the outside, but they all interconnect with each other, and they are usually controlled by the same entity anyway, right? So uh, usually you have you don't have a single point of connection, but you have a single point of governance,
Yeah.
right?
An example of that, we were talking about Google, and let's keep talking because it's a great use case. Uh, is that you can connect to Google in certain ways, right? You have Gmail, you have Google Maps, you have a lot of stuff that comes from Google. So even though if you consider all of that Google service, you can connect through several endpoints, and but I think it's the biggest premise for decentralized services is that if Google shuts down, you lose all of those services.
Yeah,
So even though that they look like different services, if that institution called Google shuts down, you lose everything of that. So and
it doesn't
that's
and it doesn't have to be the institution shutting down. You can have you can be banned for using those services
yeah.
for some
Well,
reason, and you would be uh, taken down from the entire history that we built that you built there on those services, right?
yeah, there are several
Uh,
premises that drive to decentralized projects, but I think the biggest one, well, that's one of the also one of the big ones, but just the same way, if you or me are supplying a server on the internet, and that and I shut down on the next day, people that were relying on that service will not be relying on that service anymore, right? And they will have that penalty that they cannot rely on that. So one of the big premises is that on a decentralized systems, they don't have to rely on my server and on me serving the service. They can rely on a full network. And that's one big difference between what you were saying about distributed system, because I could have a load balancer with several nodes running inside my network. But if I shut down, all of that goes away anyway. And a decentralized system relies on a public network. to where you can connect to any of the nodes.
And it should also not have a single point of governance, right? And that's something that usually projects miss. The beauty of Bitcoin and why it is a truly decentralized system is exactly that. There is no CEO, there is no Bitcoin
Yeah,
LLC or whatever. There is no corporation behind it. There is no CEO. There is no anything, right? If you want to contact Bitcoin, you can't. If you want to send Bitcoin a letter, you can't. You can make an inscription on the network with the information you want to tell Bitcoin, but Bitcoin doesn't care, right?
yeah,
There is no one to blame for not taking in consideration your node, right? Because
yeah.
Bitcoin doesn't give a fuck. So
Yeah, also regarding that, there is nobody taking responsibility for Bitcoin. So if
yeah,
something goes wrong, there's nobody that can be responsible for those events.
and why should something go wrong?
No, but, I'm saying this just to make fun because no big companies are responsible for anything. So
Bitcoin does a simple thing.
if you
It's
read the end user
just
license,
it's just that.
yeah,
If we think that core Bitcoin developers will not make a nasty mistake, then there is no such event. Bitcoin does Bitcoin
yeah,
like it always does, and that's it, right? So usually, at the first look at the project, if you get a company and the CEO, it's not decentralized. You don't have to take a look at any single line of code,
yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
So there is a single point of failure, and decentralized projects don't like single points of failure.
Yeah, yeah.
So
If you can find a single point of failure, governance is a good example that it's not code and it's not part of the architecture, but it's still a single point of failure, which a single person or block can take some decision for the project. So. But we will dive into the governance models also in
yeah.
decentralized systems further ahead. So let's go.
In the meantime, just press the like button. And I have another thing to say today, which is very important. We just hit 200 subscribers. Yay!
We are partying today.
We doubled our subscribers in a few weeks. Fuck,
Yeah,
it's hot, this thing.
really
And
amazing, guys.
and
Thanks
yeah,
for your
if you are
support.
not subscribed, just press the subscribe button.
Yeah,
You
well,
will
I've been
be
seeing in analytics that most of the viewers are not subscribing. So please, guys, it helps us a lot if you subscribe. So
and it
consider
helps
doing
you
it.
a lot because we are talking about crazy shit all the time. So
Yeah,
if
and
you
crazy
like
shit is
this kind
fun.
of stuff, just
Yeah.
subscribe to get more.
Yeah, you will be notified if you click the bell. You'll also be notified when we launch a new video. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe.
So, and
Next
continuing with
thing,
the subject.
yeah, next thing. Let's just bring up a couple of examples on a really decentralized system. Something that comes to mind is Uniswap. Uniswap, I think it's fully decentralized.
There is no actually there is a Uniswap company, I think, but they don't control the system. they build stuff and they publish. That's it,
Yeah, so
right?
as I can tell, they have this company and they just launched a project that they kind of don't care about it anymore because it's running on its own uh, in a decentralized manner, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, another point of failure that is very common in Web3 projects. I talk about point of failure. It's not failure, it's a failure for decentralization. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of projects that are very successful, and they suffer from these problems. And it's natural, it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, when you say point of failure, the full name of that is single point of failure, which is
mhm.
if that point fails, the project fails. So
Yeah,
in a decentralized project, if one point fails, the other guarantee that the system keeps working properly.
yeah.
So yeah, just making that note.
So, in the case of Uniswap, um, I'm not sure how the governance of the uh, special purpose access to the smart contracts is done, but in many projects, even if they don't have a company and don't have a single governance point, Uh, some of them usually have like an owner account or a group of accounts that have special purposes in the project or in the smart contracts or whatever. And those are another kind of single points of failure, right? Because you might not have uh, a formal governance in a single entity, a centralization there, a centralization point, but you have a centralization point in the handling of keys to authorize certain actions in the
Mhm.
system, right? And that is usually harder to grasp, uh, but most of the projects have that problem, um, especially when they are beginning,
Yeah.
when they are starting, and that's
Yeah,
natural,
because yeah,
right?
processes are not well established yet, and you have not enough people to take care of those secondary issues, right? They can become primary if somebody gets grasp on the keys. Uh, it becomes a big problem, but
It's not just
yeah,
it's not just that. It's also that it requires trust,
yeah,
and the one of the characteristics of a decentralized system is that it's trustless, right? You don't
mhm,
have to trust that someone will do the right thing uh, f- for you. Uh, you have to trust the entire system will do what the entire system does, right?
yeah,
That is a form of um, resilience, and it's also a form of peace of mind for the user, because the user just needs to understand what the system does, and then there is no trust involved after that. It's just knowing that the system does what it does and expect that result. That's it, right? That's what
yeah,
happens with Bitcoin. And I'm also giving the Bitcoin example because it's the best we have today. So uh, when we talk about sending 1 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin across the globe to someone in Philippines, uh, there's no way the network will behave differently if it's me or if it's Miguel or one of you guys, right?
yeah,
We send, and After a block, it will be sent. Period. Right? If you paid the fees and there was miners involved, it will be there. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the one of the important things. If there is someone with some special powers to decide whatever in a system by signing some whatever, right, with a special key, then we have a trust system. It's not trustless anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Of course,
that trust detail it's important because you need the system to behave as expected, and if you have something like that, first thing is that it may not behave as intended, and it may have different outcomes for the same premises. So yeah, that's kind of bad on a decentralized system.
yeah. So, and we didn't even touch a line of code yet,
Yeah.
right? This is just
Yeah, but I think most of the things that make a system decentralized are not code, are architectural.
yeah. So these are the most important points in the governance side, right? Uh, Single points of failure that many decentralized, quote unquote, projects have and keep having all the time. Uh, these are not bad things, right? This is, I completely understand that if a company wants to build a product, they will want to be uh, to have a special um, governance during the first steps of the project, and that's natural. That's natural for companies, right? That's why I started with the idea of Bitcoin and not having Bitcoin company. Because if you are building decentralized systems, you should not think of decentralized systems the same way as you think about companies, right? And that's the something that needs to change over time because people continue to build companies, and that doesn't make any sense,
Yeah,
right?
well, I think there's place for both of them, right? So companies can even build decentralized systems, and
Yes, and they have
the
done.
yeah, of course, we were
There
talking
is
about
Blockstream.
Uniswap. Yeah,
Blockstream
you
builds Bitcoin, right, and builds all the things around uh, Bitcoin, like the what's the name of the layer two? It's not Lightning. It's
Lightning. Uh,
no, the other one. Um, Fuck. What's the name?
you are getting old.
I'm very bad with names. I will remember.
Yeah,
But they build a lot of things. They are one of the biggest contributors for Bitcoin core code, and they are a company. But they are not building the system, right? They are a company that their core product is not Bitcoin. Okay, the core product of that company is development services for other companies, right?
yeah,
They are selling those services and they are contributing to Bitcoin because that's what they do. They love the project and they continue building it. And they were one of the builders that initially worked on the project as well. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But that's not where the money comes for the company. So it's a different thing, right? That's why Usually, projects are called security-like projects with the tokenization that they build, because they build tokenization thinking of a company having to make profit with tokens, right? That's securities, period, right?
Yeah.
Even Gary Gensler is able to decide that. He's not able to decide if Ethereum is a security, but in that case, he will be able to decide on point that it is a security, right? So that's the problem. It's the problem of how you think about the project and how you think about getting rewarded for implementing it, right?
Yeah.
And it's before even writing a single line of code. If you think about building a project so that you make a profit out of it, it's not decentralized anymore.
Yeah.
Don't call it
Right.
even decentralized. It's not. Okay? If you build a project and then throw it to the community and tell the community, guys, there is this shit that I built. Do you like it or not? If you like it, run a node with me. That's what Satoshi Nakamoto told the world in 2009. Right?
Yep.
He
So
was
what?
running a node or several. Who knows?
Yeah,
Right?
probably several.
But who cares? The entire world was able to run nodes too. Right?
Yeah.
And every day when I look in the mirror, I say to myself, why the fuck you didn't run a node at that time? But what can I do? Right?
Yeah, no, it's too late.
But anyway,
Okay. I want to jump into the subject on how do we create a decentralized project. So usually we need to run usually some sort of website. We need some sort of storage. We need some sort of database. We need some sort of whatever system, and we need to make that to become a decentralized system. So what do we have to do, and what are the breaking points for not to be considered a decentralized system?
well, the first thing is the website. We can start exactly there. There are distributed ways of doing that. If you have to register a domain, don't make it the single point of connection to your content, right? If you have 5 people working with you on the project and you are welcoming 500 more, right? Tell them, register the website that you want and point all of them to your GitHub website, right? And your project can be called project X .org or project X .ie or project X.e or project X.pt or project X .xyz or whatever each one of those people want to register, right? Or even myprojectx.com, because I am that kind of guy. And that's it, right? If you have something that you can connect to coming from multiple domains, if some domain gets shut down because I don't pay the bill, you can still connect with Miguel's domain because Miguel pays the bills. It's usually that the case. But that's uh, uh, that usually clears out that initial problem, which is the domain, right?
Yeah,
Because
you also have like some stuff like unstoppable domains and stuff like that.
that is a different shit. Don't that doesn't work for real websites. So that is another thing. That is for it was kind of, but it's not integrated in browsers, and probably is not being integrated for the time for the foreseeable future. And it's a pity, but
Yeah, yeah.
and also I don't really love the way things were implemented in the domain space. Not the unstoppable domains, not ENS. Uh, I think we can do better. Those projects,
Well,
and
if it didn't work,
pardon me, I am talking about decentralization. It's not that I don't like the projects, um, but I really think that we can do better in decentralization side of things, and also in the accessibility side of things, because the costs of those domains is very high uh, compared to the old system, and they are worse in features. So that really doesn't resonate with me at all.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we did a very bad job to build the same monetization strategies of the legacy system on top of decentralized rails. We can do better, and we will do
Yeah, well,
better.
eventually it will happen, right?
Yeah,
So if that didn't work properly, someday some other project will come up and try
yeah.
to fix that again. Another thing that you were saying is that, okay, let's put several domains pointing to my GitHub page, but GitHub is centralized. So what can we do to solve that?
We can have a GitLab, or we can have our own Git repository somewhere else, and we can also host the website in several hosting providers, and that makes it resilient. What I was talking about the GitHub is the GitHub with the source of the website, so people can contribute to, and they can build the thing and put it on the internet somewhere, right?
Okay, why not something like IPFS?
That's another idea, and even a better one. But again, it's not yet working very well with browsers. It's better from
Yeah, well,
since we
we
started
have
working
Brave,
with
right?
it.
You
We
have
started
Brave.
working in IPFS in 2017, so it has been a while,
Yeah.
right? And it's a lot better today with a lot more services and so on, but it's not yet comparable with the legacy systems. So, and the integration in browsers is poor. I don't know if you use Brave browser. Uh, if you don't use Brave browser, you should. If you are interested in decentralization, Brave browser is not supporting our podcast yet, but they can. Okay, if you are Brave browser,
We are open to that.
if you are Brave browser, you can connect to us and ask us gently, and we might consider your
Depending on
sponsoring.
the offer, of course, because we are not cheap.
But we love Brave browser anyway, and that's why we talk
Yeah,
about
we
it.
use it a lot.
So Brave browser integrates perfectly with IPFS, and it's a completely different
Yeah,
way.
it even has its own wallet.
Yeah, it has a Web3 wallet which supports Bitcoin now as well.
Yeah.
It's not just EVM and Ethereum. It has Solana and it has Bitcoin. Great.
Yeah, shout
So,
out to those guys.
Brave browser integrates IPFS, so you can directly open IPFS CIDs on the browser,
Yeah.
and as long as you run your own node, of course, which is also something that I would like to touch. If you are a lover of decentralization, as we are, fuck, run your nodes, right?
Yeah, well, it's easy to say, but it's not easy for everyone to have that.
We are not talking. We are not talking to everyone here. We talk to
Yeah, no.
developers.
Yeah,
So, if you are a Web3 developer or a decentralized developer, run nodes
yeah.
on your
Well, that,
server in your
it's quite
office.
simple. Yeah, and it's quite simple
Yeah,
to do so. And you, if you are developing, it's also nice to have your own server, because if you are developing, you need your data right away, and it's much faster if you have your node inside your network. So yeah,
yeah.
run them.
That's usually what you have to do, right? You run an IPFS node. I run several. I have one in the browser in Brave, in running in directly in Brave. Uh, I still have my IPFS desktop running all the time as well,
Yeah,
and I publish stuff here on my machine in my office, which is this one, and then I have my studio over there, my music studio. I'm also a musician. I do. I am a DJ and so on. So um, whenever I want to transmit stuff in my network or outside my network, I can use IPFS for that. If I want to share a file with a friend, of course, I can do it the centralized way, which is we transfer. We won't accept your sponsoring in this podcast. You are not decentralized. So I, if you can use WeTransfer to transfer files, but IPFS is much better, right? And you don't have a 5 or 7 day limit that they offer on the free version,
yeah.
and
But
you
you
have
can
to
also
pay.
use stuff like Google Docs, or what's the name of that? Something Drive.
Yeah,
I
Google
forgot the
Drive
name.
or OneDrive for Microsoft, or for
Yeah,
Microsoft, or
yeah.
whatever
That.
drive.
Yeah. So you can use systems like
Dropbox.
that. Dropbox. I was trying to remember that. Yeah. You can use systems like that, but those are not decentralized.
And
And
what I was forgetting the name of the layer 2, it's Liquid Network.
yeah.
But anyway, I
Uh,
completely ruined your train of thought. I just like to do
okay,
that.
so yeah, we were saying how to build a project in a decentralized fashion, right? So we have the entry point, which is the domain. Then we have the access, which will be the storage part, so that you can deploy your project, your web project. So you can access it. It runs. It works if you use the right tools, right? If you are using Brave, you can access your web page on IPFS easily. Otherwise, you also have gateways for IPFS, and access it through HTTP.
But you can publish your website through a DNS as usual, and also including the DNS, the IPNS, which is the name system for IPFS. And if you are using the right browser, Brave, or some browser with an IPFS extension like Chrome or whatever, then you can use that domain just to convert it to a CID, which is a content address ID, right? And then from the name resolution, jump right into the IPFS network and the decentralized version of your website, right?
Yeah.
You can have those things working together right
Yeah,
right
exactly.
away today.
Yeah, so today you kind of have you can develop a decentralized system in this way. Another thing that I would like to bring up is that usually websites will need a database access. So instead of using regular databases, because usually you will use something very small and but centralized because it's stored on your hard disk. But in a decentralized fashion, you cannot have that because you would need to replicate that database within all the nodes. So you can use OrbitDB to do that. I'm not really sure because I don't use it for quite a bit. I'm not sure how good it is today, but it was working like 5 years ago. So,
Yeah.
do you have any experience with that recently?
Well, I don't use it very often, but I've used recently, and it was
It's still
working.
working.
Yeah, and I think they made an upgrade recently. So I still didn't touch it, but I will in the near future because I'm curious to see what they've done. But also, OrbitDB is not the only solution. There are plenty. You have Ceramic Network, which is another decentralized database system, and you have many others. I just
do
like
you know do you know the
open
difference
source
between
stuff,
yeah
really basic. I think the simplest is always the most interesting stuff. And the beauty of OrbitDB is that it is very simple. That's why I like it.
yeah
But there
yeah
are
indeed.
plenty of other projects that deliver on decentralized databases over IPFS or Arweave or whatever.
Do you know the big differences between those? No.
No, no,
Yeah, well,
I didn't use Ceramic. I've
yeah,
been in a few conferences with them, but it's not something that I've used in
yeah.
projects.
We need to analyze that and do a podcast
Yeah,
about it. That's one idea for a future podcast.
yeah. Why not?
Yeah. So another thing that well that's the architecture. I don't think I'm missing anything about deployments and usage.
But before continuing, I would like
Mm.
to explore a little bit about the decentralized databases, because that is usually one of the points where people miss when they are trying to shoot for decentralization. Uh, they usually and that discussion was on our Telegram uh, recently as well. Uh, if you want to store shit, if you have an API, you are not decentralized anymore. Sorry, guys. That's uh, that's what we were talking about. If you don't have our Telegram yet, go to our website. There's or the links in the description, and you can enter our Telegram
Yeah,
there.
join our community. We're fun
Yeah,
guys.
there are plenty
And
of
if you have
discussions there.
questions and doubts, we can try to help you out.
But from those discussions, people usually, when they are building a decentralized application, they think about building the smart contracts and blah blah blah, and they are decentralized there. No, that is one part of the decentralization, but the other parts that we already talked about also interfere, usually fail there. But Then you have the API. And if you want to have accounts with special purposes, you will have special signing keys that you don't want on your front end. Then you have to have a back end to sign shit. And then you're done decentralizing your project because it's not decentralized anymore, right? So
Yeah, and as you were saying in the in Telegram, you suggested that you can have an API for each node. And I think that's the only way that you can decentralize an API is by doing that. Is for each node that you have, that API will also exist.
but that
But
depends also.
even though it exists because it should be connecting to the blockchain on your node, you should also have that API connecting not only to your node but to several other nodes in case your node is failing. So that's just a little detail
that
because yeah, if somebody is connecting to your API and your API is not connected to anything, it fails. So if you don't want to have a single point of failure because you are then again creating a single point of failure, you need to connect to some other networks,
Yeah, and also uh,
nodes. Sorry, not networks.
when you are thinking about building the API needs to be built in a way that uh, there is a single point of verification, and that is the blockchain, right?
Mhm.
If your API is reading stuff from the blockchain and providing it to the user, you have to have a way to certify that the information that the user receives is correct, right? Because there are bad actors. I know that this can be strange, but there are people that do bad shit.
No
Okay?
way.
Yeah, believe
No.
it. There is. And especially when there's money involved. Especially when they have something to gain from doing shit nasty stuff. They will do it,
Yeah.
right? So, uh, if you have an API that reads stuff from the trustless system and provides it to the user needs to have a way to certify, an easy way to know that that information is um, not tampered with, right?
Yeah,
So
that's usually done with secure connections and certificates. So
and signatures
and
and
signatures. Yeah.
ashes
Yeah.
and many other things.
Cryptography to the rescue.
Yes. So uh, this means that if there if there is an API that you control, you are not decentralized. If you don't control it, then you have to have verification, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Period. So, and there's an easy way of verifying. So, if the client needs to connect to the blockchain to verify that the information it received from an API is correct, that is a bullshit system, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to have a signature that the client is able to verify on its end that uh, certifies that what the client received is trustworthy. That's it,
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
right?
Yeah.
So, although this seems natural, it's not easy to implement. That's why people always overlook, because building a centralized API is much simpler, right?
Oh,
But
well, it is, but
but but
it
the
can
problem
fail a
is
lot
that
more.
when you have that API, you are ruining all the decentralization around it, right?
Yeah.
So um, I think projects need to think this better, right? To build APIs that are the nodes can run, or the community can run, or anyone can run, and provide resilience to the decentralization of that project. Um, but then there is the other way, the other part that I talked in Telegram, which is why should they run the nodes to provide the API,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people have to be compensated, like we explained in the previous episode. People will have to be compensated for that because they are investing a lot of money usually to create an internal network with huge servers, and it costs a lot of money to implement that and a lot of work. So come on, life is not free. People need to go to the grocery store, so people need to be paid for that.
And even if it's not paid with monetary instruments, if people get compensated in any way, like distributing a token is something that we create out of thin air, right? And the value of a token is zero or
Yeah,
more.
well, it's just the same as Bitcoin,
So
and it was close to zero when
yeah,
it was launched, but now it's
it's
not.
zero
So,
or
and
more.
that's the prospect of that. It's the intent is that the token value will grow in time. So, and that's the expectation when people get paid with the project tokens. Okay,
So the thing
let's.
is, uh, if you have such a system that requires to have that API in the middle, if you cannot scrap it, like scrap it out of the project and connect directly to the nodes in the blockchain, which are decentralized in nature, right? If you really need an API, um, think of it as something that you can decentralize. Anyone can run, and there is an incentivization scheme running to incentivize participation in that, because if you don't incentivize good behavior on your community, people will tend to not do the things, right?
Mhm.
They might do for a while, but then they will just get tired of doing something for nothing, right? So that's the nature of human behavior. So if you incentivize it, there is probably always someone that is crazy enough to do that shit for you and receive whatever is the compensation for it, right?
Yep.
Uh, so that's the whole point of thinking about decentralization in natural central points of applications like databases or APIs or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, there is another little thing that I would like to introduce there is that you can have an API if that's not part of the project basis. So just let's figure that the project doesn't really require that API in order to run and in order to supply the service, and that API or some sort of backend will just serve as a notification system, for instance. It's not required for the whole project to run properly, but it's like a plugin or an add-on to the service, and it doesn't even impact the user. It may impact the project because you may want to get some feedback about something, and you just build an API in order to listen to some events on the smart contracts or to check out some information on during the runtime of the project. So that's something that can fit on a decentralized system, even though that part is centralized. It's not required for the project to run.
Yeah, and there is another thing that usually is common, and it's not a central point of failure or a single point of failure for the system, which is indexation services. Usually, decentralized systems have the single source of truth, the blockchain, right? And but querying blockchains is cumbersome. It's very slow, and it usually don't give the information you need all at once, right? It's not like a search engine that you go there and get me the accounts from this to that with this criteria or whatever. You can't do that, right? So usually it makes the user experience very sluggish if you do it like that. So it's natural in a decentralized system to have a centralized indexing service that connects to the blockchain and indexes the information we need, so that the user experience can be better. But that is a user experience thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't interfere with the system, right? It's like having magnifying glass over something. It doesn't make that something bigger, right?
That just points us to the next topic, which is the impact. How does decentralization impact the user experience and security? So it's a good starting point that we got to there. But before that, guys, please like and subscribe and press the bell icon so that you can get notified about our videos. So yeah, let's keep going on that. So what's the impact on decentralization or decentralization if we want to centralize any part of the project? What is the impact of that in the user experience?
Yeah, usually is that querying and indexing blockchain information is very very hard. So usually the interfaces that you have don't provide all the indexing you need, and you need extra services for that. So, but it's not a problem if it not interferes with the business of the system, right? If it's just simplification for the user interface, it would be better to not have those single points of failure. But if you have them on your system, it doesn't make your entire system centralized. It's just some way for supplying a better user experience, right?
Yeah. There are other things, like, for instance, you can notice if you're using IPFS, for instance, that the system is not as responsive as a centralized system, because it's usually on a centralized system, usually you have like a professional setup, and it's very responsive and it's built to be responsive. But the IPFS nodes, at least on the public network, may be slow because it's usually people's nodes that regular people's nodes that are running there. So it has some
But I've
impact on
built,
that. So
I've
you need to
I've built,
connect, and you need to expect failures on the connections and on the stability of the network, um, which actually doesn't happen that often in centralized systems, right?
that depends on how you build the storage network for your application or for your system. I've built decentralized storage for uh, my D-Sound project, for instance. That was very responsive, and it was even better responsive than if it was
Yeah, if it's well
hosted.
established. Yeah, if it's well
Yeah,
established, if the network is well established, it's much better than a regular network. But
and
what I was saying is that usually it's not. And if you are trying
yeah,
to access some content on IPFS,
if you
you
build
may expect not to be as performant
if you
as
build
you were accessing Google Docs or something like that.
if you build decentralized system over IPFS the right way, it will be better for sure,
Mhm.
because uh, it's a system that doesn't require a connection to a single server or a single cluster to
Yeah,
get the information. You can get information right from your neighbor that downloaded 5 seconds ago, right?
yeah,
Uh, so it should be always better than the legacy system. But the problem here is that setting up decentralized networks is not easy, and it's not to be done in the same way that you are usually thinking of in a centralized way. So yeah, that is the problem. And also, usually people think that there is an IPFS network,
yeah.
uh,
No, yeah,
and there
that's
is
not the
no.
case.
There is a public IPFS network which
Yeah,
is for testing. It's not supposed to be used for your application,
yeah.
right?
Usually your project should have its own network. So, and that's the way it's supposed to go.
So uh, if you build your own network and you put all the nodes in your network in the same network communicating with each other, and not messing with the testing of the public IPFS network, and you have all the bits necessary, like the um, uh, several nodes in your network that allow to signal the other nodes to connect with each other. It's called the signaling servers, the signaling nodes. If you get all that together, you will get a hell of a network. It
Yeah,
works really well,
yeah,
uh, but
yeah. And
usually
keep in mind
people
that
don't do
that
it.
yeah,
They all rely on the public
yeah,
IPFS network.
yeah,
They
guys,
rely
keep
on Pinata to make the pins, and it's
yeah,
the simpler way, and it works. And
yeah,
Pinata has a magnificent network, by the way. And if Pinata wants to sponsor our podcast, they also can, because they are decentralized.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Well, guys, keep
but
in mind that
they
that
don't
IPFS.
steal, and we love them anyway.
Yeah, keep in mind that IPFS is built on top of great technologies that were developed during time. So most of it were really tested on the torrent networks. So it's really good and well tested technology, and it's really decentralized as the torrent network is. So as like you were saying on the testnet, that some things are not as performant, but because most people will use the testnet because they don't know how to create their own network, so they will probably use the testnet, which is the easiest thing, by the way, and
And it
they can
works.
expect, and it works, of course, but they will expect, they can expect latency. So that's what I was trying to bring up on the user experience impact.
Yeah.
As for if you want to use blockchains, of course, you will have to rely on the block generation of blockchains in order to have your transactions or your operations ran. And that may also take some time, right? If you make it a transfer in Bitcoin, it takes about 10 minutes. If you want to go to Ethereum, it takes, I don't know how much it's taking
13
right now.
seconds.
It's quite fast, but it's not immediate, but it's really fast. Well, so you can expect stuff like that.
And if you go to graphene blockchains, you can have your
Yeah, it's
transaction
like 3
final
seconds or
in
whatever.
half a second. So
Yeah.
by the way, if you
So
don't know what graphene is, you will know soon. We are
yeah.
just using it.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Okay, so we are not going
Yeah,
to
we have a
governance models.
question. Mohammed asked us.
Yes. I was. We can answer this at the end. We
Yeah.
will go through all the questions that we have at the end. We were going to talk about governance models. I don't think we are going to go through this. We have an entire episode
We
talking about this,
already
right?
talked a little bit about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And what now? What can we do to mitigate the decentralization points that we may have? We already went through a little bit on this. So if you require an API to your project, you can distribute that API through all the nodes on your network. So if you are creating a project, you should have your own blockchain nodes, and you should have your API nodes going along with your blockchain nodes. You can deploy your stuff on APFS. You can separate the parts of your project to what is required on your project to be decentralized, and then you can have this centralization point, which is not required, but it's just an add-on and a plus on your project. Like if you want to monitor some events or to monitor some stuff on your project, but make sure that it's not a requirement, so that the user doesn't notice anything different if that service is not running. What else can we say about mitigating stuff? We had
For
this
instance,
here some.
from time to time there are special routines in a smart contract that need to be ran in cycle, right?
Yeah, like a daily cleanup, some stuff
like a
like
cron
that.
job,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That usually is something that we tend to think in a centralized way. Let's do
Yeah.
that. Let's put the bot running, right?
Yeah.
That's a single point of failure.
Yeah,
Again,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
well, we didn't talk about oracles, and people use oracles a lot, and
Yeah, oracles
there's
are
no way around that oracles at this moment. So we still require oracles, and oracles are also a single point of failure.
no, but the oracles are decentralized, and
Mm,
you can also build your own oracle system, and you don't need to rely on Chainlink or any oracle provider. Of course, they have a already built solution that you can just grab and use, but you have to pay, right?
mhm.
They don't come for free. Uh, and it's natural. It's part of the incentivization scheme that they run. But you can build your own and reduce costs, right? We've built that
Mhm.
uh, for other projects. So if you want, you can ask your community, guys, we need to run this task. Here is the bot. You can run this and you will get paid for that, our token, whatever. And they will. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
People love to help the project they love. And if they get compensated for that, why not? Even if it's a worthless
Hmm.
token that is worth zero today, but it might be worth something tomorrow. You never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the
Like it.
expectation there, right?
Yeah. So that's another thing that you can also mitigate in your centralized system, or your centralized way to think about systems, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to see if we here if we have okay.
Exactly, Mohammed. Chainlink also provides that automation, and yeah, but it's not difficult to build your own if you don't want to be part of the Chainlink um, uh, use case or incentivization scheme. Um, yeah, it's up to you in your project. You can use Chainlink or any other Oracle solution. They all provide similar stuff. Or build your own and have your own system running, right? Um, be careful, because if you build your own system, you have to worry about uh, not allowing a single provider of information to jeopardize your entire system, right? Because if they can, they will, believe me. Um, so you have to be careful. You have to think that why should people do bad shit and mitigate that. Uh, that can be done usually by using median uh, values that exclude the completely far out extremes, right? Or you can do many other types of mitigation strategies to be almost certain that the truth you are getting from the outside world is reliable, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's not easy to do that, right? So yeah,
That's why using
you need
Chainlink
those kind of
is
strategies. Yeah.
good, because they already thought about that for
Yeah.
you. But it comes with a cost. So
Yeah, of course.
that's it, right?
Yeah. Okay, so before we finish, let's go for what's expecting us in the future, right? About this centralization and decentralization fight that we are having. So we can speculate a little bit on how things are moving forward and where they are moving. Uh,
I will play Nostradamus right now and predict the future.
yeah,
This
that's the
is
point of this exercise, right?
this is how it will be. Believe me, projects that were not fully decentralized will die. Projects that are fully decentralized will thrive,
I'm
and
not
projects
so sure if
projects
this is
in the
going to be that
middle,
easy.
they will have to be decentralized, because otherwise bad shit happens and people
Yeah,
get arrested and whatever. So if you don't want to be a victim of your own success, decentralize.
yeah.
Easy. That came right from my um, ball that I have here.
You have to clean it a little bit there.
Yeah. But yeah, jokes aside, that's exactly what I think, because
Yeah, the decentralized systems are just like that. There's nobody to pick on, right? And you can do your project and don't expect to that somebody can come after you because you are responsible for that. So at least for now, it's how it is. But you also need to be careful, right? Like Bitcoin, nobody knows who the guy is. So it is like that, and it's not like that's for fun because I that was done with a purpose. Um, and if somebody wants to shut down the network, it's virtually impossible to do so. And if somebody wants to get the responsible for Bitcoin, good luck on that. So
When
those are the little details that you need to be careful about if you want to make a
and
decentralized system.
for people starting up building systems in this industry, uh, always put yourself in Satoshi Nakamoto's shoes. Always think, what if this project was being implemented by Satoshi, right? When you are thinking about the tokenomics of the project, what if I wasn't me? Think about it, right? What if I was Satoshi or no Notoshi, whatever, right? What would be the difference in the monetization strategies of the project? What would be the difference between what the design you have right now and the design that would be incentivizing people to join the network, like in Bitcoin
Mhm.
or in any other big network like Ethereum or Polygon or any Binance smart chain. Sorry. Um, so whatever. What are the tokenomics of that project if you were not there?
Yep.
That's a good exercise, right? And it's a good strategy also to not rely on your special powers to be the masterminds of the project and to be the whale of the project. Because if you think about that, or if your design is around that, your project will probably
Well,
die
first of all,
anyway.
it's centralized in some
Yeah.
way.
So if you control the majority of the tokens or a minority of the tokens, but a large size whale in that economy, you will be ruining your own project.
Yeah,
Easy,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So the tokenomics makes if good tokenomics are the ones that make sense with or without you,
Yeah, exactly. They don't
right?
depend on anyone.
So think about that because most of the projects die right there, not implementing the right tokenomics to incentivize people to join the network. Because believe in one thing, anything of blockchain, uh, blockchain is just a technology that allows a single truth, a source of truth, reliable, trustless, decentralized, whatever. But the community that is generated around that system is where the value relies,
Yeah,
right?
it's where the value comes from.
So if you don't build community, if you build a project for you and your peers, then it's not a community based project. It will not
Yeah,
have the
the
network
value is
effect.
what you can deliver,
So
right?
the
And
value will
you
be
are the reach of your project.
contained among your peers.
Yeah,
It's what you and your peers believe that is valuable about that project. And the bigger a community, the bigger the value that is generated usually, and the bigger the project can become. So if you decentralize the incentive structure better, your project will be better.
Yeah, exactly.
It will not be your project. It will be your community project.
Yeah.
But it will be
That's the
much
big
larger
difference.
than yourself.
Yeah.
So don't be greedy. Greedy projects that were designed with greed will die naturally.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is a very important part of this. And we are when we are talking about this, to reply to Muhammad, we assume that whether you use Ethereum or you use Polygon or you use Binance Smart Sheets or anything shit like that, that there is a level of decentralization in the network. It doesn't matter if it is Polygon or Binance or whatever. The network is decentralized enough. Of course, if you use Ethereum, you will be better served in security. Of course, right? But you don't control Polygon network either, right? They are less decentralized than Ethereum. They are less secure than Ethereum, but kind of secure because they have roll-ups to the mainnet. And you have to rely on a bridge, which is another single point of failure. But it's something that you don't control. And if you want to build a project on Polygon, feel free to build it, and it will be as decentralized as it can be in that network. But I would much rather consider my project multi-chain so that my users can decide which chain they want. Why should you decide that for them in the first place, right? If you are using EVM, why not build for EVM, right? Why
And you can
do we
deploy
have
on
to
any
have
chain.
clubs or like colors? I am this color, you are that color. No, man, let's make all the big projects in this space are getting multi-chain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Go to
and it's quite
Uniswap.
easy because
It's
they
the
are
standard. Go to
they are
Uniswap.
EVM compliant.
You go up and you see Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, or whatever, blah blah blah. Binance Smart Sheet, everything, right? So build for multi-chain, and then you completely remove that less centralized or less decentralized problem from your equation, and let your users decide which chain they want to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not easy. You have to think about how to decentralize or be chain agnostic in your project. The first problem you will have for sure is you release your token in one network. How can you? Oh man, shit! I release my token in Polygon. How can I do that? Right? You have to migrate your token to other networks. Bridging, releasing the token in several networks, and so on. Creating liquidity on all the networks. It's not easy. You have to think about
but
a
there's a
lot of shit.
solution for that. Yeah.
You have to think about a lot of shit, but it's the right way to do. Being multi-chain is also a good thing for your user base. You can start on one network and build from there.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, it's another level of decentralization for sure.
You don't need to do it all at once, otherwise you will kill your project before beginning,
Yeah,
right? It's a lot of shit,
right. Yeah,
but there is a path for that, and you can do it. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so guys, we are getting to the end of this episode. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe.
If
And
again, no, you liked it, you will press the like button right now.
and subscribe. Don't forget to press the bell so that you can get notified about new videos. And yeah, guys, just follow us and get to us in our social media. Ask us questions, doubts that you have, new topics that you want us to talk about, and we'll see you on the next one.
And our community is very cool because we don't even need to think about topics anymore. They suggest the topics to us. So keep on doing that. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
It's
thanks,
very
guys.
cool. Okay, so it seems that we are reaching the end of the episode. So hello and welcome. Oh no, this is the intro. Sorry. Let's go to the outro. This is a joke for Miguel. So if you enjoyed this episode, ask us questions, keep on rocking in the topic ideas as you have done. And thanks for joining us in our mission to decentralize the world wisely. And we'll see you in the next episode, guys. Cheers.
See you in the next one.